Hey guys, it's Colby. Today I'm going to show you how to make the starting of the shoe. We're going to focus on this part of the shoe, pretty much on the bottom side. So like all around here, all the way around in the bottom. So let's get started. So for this video, we're going to be using front view and side view, as well as back view. Later on, I'll be using the side of the reference for the second half of the video. But for the first half, we're going to be using front view. If you don't know how to get these image references set up, you can go back to the first video of this series where I show how to do all of this. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with our image references here. Let's create a new spawn points right about here. So shift and right click in front view. So press 1 on your numpad and then come to this point on the reference, shift and right click. And now let's create a new mesh. Shift A, create a new mesh. Let's create a plane, scale it down. And we're basically going to move it like pretty much right here. We're going to start from the top of the toes and move to the bottom of the toes. Now go to side view, move this piece up right about here. And we can go out as a side view and front view. And just use our scroll wheel to kind of scroll around. Now go to just kind of edit mode and piece. Press tab. Grab this front face, this front edge. Let's move like right about here. Go to front view and just move all these vertices into the right positions on this piece. So you press 1 on your keyboard, grab this vertex here, and do the same for each side. Now go to side view, do the same. So this piece should be right about here. This one right here. Let's move them to all these corners. So now go ahead and grab this edge here. Press E to extrude. And move it pretty much to the bottom of the toes. And grab these edges and move them forward. And grab these vertices and move them to pretty much into positions on the reference here. So now let's add an edge loop down the middle of this piece. Control R, move this piece outward. So Control R, left click, and you can grab this edge and move it forward a bit. Grab this vertex, move it back, like this. So we'll create some roundness for this piece. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and grab these two edges on this side of the shoe. So press 2 on your keyboard, grab these two edges, press E to extrude, and move them all the way back. To this point here. Let's say this section point right here is pretty good. Now go to front view, grab these two edges, move them outward slightly, and like this. In this case, we can actually move this slightly forward a bit on side view. Right about here is good. So there we go. And grab these two edges again, press E to extrude. And from here, it's going to be hard to see the side of this piece. So it's basically behind this part of the shoe. So we'll have to switch to back view here in a bit. But for now, we can focus on the front side. Now let's go to back to front view. Let's grab this edge now. These two edges, hold on, shift, left click on these two edges, press E to extrude. So it's this point right here. And press E again to extrude in side view, and move it right about here. Grab these two edges here on this side, press G then X, and move them to the left. Now let's continue extruding back. So we can move these furniture to this point here. Press E and X, move them to the left. Put a new set of edges. Grab these new edges here, move them back the y-axis, so G and then Y, to the roundness of the shoe on the back side. Now let's go ahead and grab these two edges here, press E to extrude, then Y, move back to this point here. Move these all upward a bit. Grab these two edges, press G and then X, move to the left. Not too far to the left, but just a tad bits. So now it's about time that we can. Alright guys, this is Future Colby. Just a quick little thing before we move on to the rest of the shoe. We need to make these lines on the fronts. So there's two lines that kind of just like go inside a tad bits, a little detail. So to do that, make sure that this vertex here, just move it to the right. You can press Z on the keyboard, go into wireframe mode, and do the same for all this stuff. Just match to the reference as best as you can. So that looks good. So now you can add an edge up on each side. So Control R, left click right here. Control R, left click right here as well. Make these as close as you can. So now I'm gonna grab these faces here and press I to inset, but not towards clipping through itself. Just a tiny bits. Press G and then Y and move this back a tad bit as well. So now let's grab these two edges. Press E again to extrude to this point right about here. And you can press G and then X and move these points inward a tad bits as well. Not too much though. Part should fold in just a tad bits. So now we can start creating this piece on the top that kind of goes around the top of the foot, wraps around to the ankles. So to do that, I'm going to add an edge loop right here on both sides of the piece. So Control R, left click on this side, and do one on this side as well. Now grab these two edges on the top here. Press E to extrude. Pretty much like right about here. You can rotate this piece. Let's say make a nice arc. Pretty much like this. Go to front view. Move these pieces back a tad bit on the x-axis. Same on this side as well. You can go out of front and side view and just grab these pieces a tad bit back. Let's grab this edge on the top here, press E to extrude to this points. You look right about here. Same on this side. Go to front view, grab this edge, press E to extrude to this points. Now we can merge these two faces. So you can grab this edge and this edge, press F to fill. Now to create a new face down the middle, you need to straighten it out a bit. Press S then Y and do this. So now let's grab this edge, this face, and move it like this on the side view reference here. Press R and Z, rotate it slightly as well. Grab all these faces here and move them to where they need to be on the reference. So pretty much just creating all the faces around the central region. we go. That looks pretty good. All right, so now let's go ahead and grab these edges on the top, move them slightly outward, and kind of fill up this region here. You can also move these faces back a bit. Go to front view, same process. Just grab these pieces and move them onto the reference. So there we go. Also, go to wireframe mode and grab this vertex here and move it a little bit back on the reference. Pretty much to this point here to match both sides together. You can also grab this set of faces and move back a bit as well. Now let's switch to back view on our reference here. Press 1 on your numpad. Grab this front plane, move it to the right. That looks good. Go to back view and move this plane in front of our mesh so that way we can see behind the mesh. Press 1 on your numpad and then press 9 to switch to back view, or you can press this Y button up here. The green Y will switch between front and back. It should say back orthographic, so that means you're good. So now we need to work on the back side of this piece. So before we start working on the back side, let's actually grab this edge here. Just move it pretty much right about here on the reference. Go to back view and move this piece like right about here. And let's start kind of pretty much wrapping around this ankle here. So like I'd say like right here is good on this piece. Also create some edges here as well. You can go to this side of the reference and match these pieces up. Move these vertices right about here on the reference for this corner of the shoe. Go out of side view and just kind of look around and see how it looks. See how this piece needs a little bit of adjustment. Make this part a little bit more even, a little bit nicer. Also add another edge loop right here to add some roundness to the front of the shoe. Make things a little bit more even. Grab this front edge here, move it up, and just create some roundness on the tip of the shoe. Also do the same on this side, and just kind of move this piece back to create some folds or dips in the shoe. That looks a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and grab these edges here. Press E to extrude right down the middle. Press E and X. Basically, move it to the right. As for this side of the piece, you can actually move it slightly to the left right here as well. Just to create some roundness on the back. So there we go. Now you can do the same on this side as well. Grab these two edges, press E to extrude. Go to side view, move this piece back. So now we're ready to fill in this gap here. So you can grab these two edges on the top, press F to fill. And same on the bottom, press F to fill. You can grab all these faces here, press C to circle select. To select multiple faces, grab this yellow button here and smoothen out all these little areas. Get another edge loop down the middle of this piece on the back. So Control R, left click, move back a bit as well, just to create some extra roundness to the piece. Now I'm just going to tweak the shape of the shoe a bit and make it a little bit skinnier on the back, just to make it a bit more sensible, make it more sense. Grab these faces on the back and just kind of scale them inside a little bit. Grab all these faces, press S and X to make them a little bit skinnier. Also do the same for these as well. S and X and these inward a tad bits. Same for these. And grab these two edges here. Just S and X, move them inward a tad bits. And same here as well. Create our basic shoe shape where it kind of folds inside on this part of the shoe, the midsection. It'll kind of fold inside a little bit. There we go. Also grab these faces on the bottom of the vertices and move them slightly inward as well. That looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and start creating the bottom of the shoe here. But before we do that, we need to grab these edges on the bottom. Just press 2 on your keyboard, hold out Shift and Alt, select all these edges on the bottom. Like this, you should see a horizontal line selection across the entire piece. You can scale it downward just a tad bits and match to the reference a little bit better. Also grab these vertices here and kind of move them up so that way we match this little arc here and just kind of match the bottom of the shoe. There we go. Click Shift and Alt, so grab these edges, press E to extrude, and S, and scale outward with your mouse a tad bits. Move it downward a tad bit as well. Press E to extrude. Bottom of the shoe, press S and Z and 0 to make it flat on the bottom. Go to front view, back view in this case, and grab this piece. We need to make this piece a little bit wider. You can grab the whole shoe in object mode. So go back in object mode, press tab on your keyboard, press S then X, and just to make it a little bit wider. And like this to match to the reference a tad bit better. Go back into edit mode, press tab, press 3 on your keyboard, and then Shift and Alt and select all these faces on the bottom here. And then press S and X and scale outward just a tad bit. I'm also going to make it a little bit shorter. So S then Z and just move up the mouse a little bit. So there we go. Alright, so after you're done editing all of the parts of your piece, and you're happy with the overall shape, you can go ahead and add a subdivision surface modifier in object mode on the piece. Go back into object mode. Let's add a modifier, subdivision surface, and turn up the poly counts. And just make sure it looks good on all sides. You can go back into edit mode on this piece and move these parts up a bit to match the reference. Grab all these vertices and move them back as well. So now we need to start creating this sharpness around each part of the shoe. So you can go to edit mode and let's add 2 edge loops, one on top and one on the bottom of this bottom of the shoe. Control R right here. You can Control R along down side. And we need to fill in the bottom of the shoe as well. So to do that, we can grab this edge on the bottom. Just kind of match each side to each piece. So grab this edge and this edge. Press F to fill. I might turn off the low poly count for moments on subdivision modifier so we can see a little bit easier. Grab these edges and move them back. You can also grab these two, press F to fill. Do the same for this front one and the tip of the shoe. So grab this edge and this one as well, press F to fill. So there we go. Now let's do the same back here as well. Grab these two edges, press F to fill. Grab these two on the back, do the same process just over and over. So for this back section here, I'm gonna add an edge loop right down the middle of this piece. Let's grab this edge and then this one, press F to fill. Grab these two as well, and F to fill again. Grab these two and just kind of make it a little bit nicer on the front side of this piece. Press G and then Y and just move them outward a bit from each other. Alright, we're going to keep on proportional editing for this. There we go. I might move this set of edges right here. Hold down Shift, select all these edges. Press G twice to edge slide. And move it like right about here on the shoe. Now let's turn the poly count back up to 2. Our piece is looking pretty good so far. Might make some smaller adjustments. Shift and Alt and select the set of faces with proportional editing on. Press this button up here and just scale this part out a tad bits. Now I can go back into object mode on this piece. And we can right click and shade smooth. And that'll shade the entire piece smooth. If you have any shading errors, you can click this button here and click auto smooth. So under normals, click auto smooth. That'll fix any shading errors. In this case, it actually causes some for me, but it sometimes works when fixing shading errors. If you ever come across those. Yep. I'm just going to grab some of these edges on the back and just move them outward a tad bit. Match it on the reference, you can see it kind of bulges out just a tad bits. Match that little shape. Like this. Go. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions on how I made this piece, you can ask down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Next time, we'll be finishing off this section here, the front of the shoe. And then later on, we'll be making this little buckle that goes around the ankle all the way across. So stay tuned. But anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful. See you guys next time. So now, let's go ahead and try to get rid of these lines on the front of the shoe. You can go into edit mode. Let's just fix these shading problems, or these sharp corners here. Let's turn on proportional editing, and then press 3 on your keyboard. Grab these faces, move them forward a bit. Just like this. Just create some better roundness to the whole overall piece. And grab these edges on the fronts, move them forward a bit as well. Just move all these faces around. So now I'm going to grab these edges here on the fronts. So these 3 edges, press G to edge slide, move back. Now to get rid of these lines here. Do the same on this side as well. Press G to edge slide, just space them out a tad bits. There we go. So we have some edges here on the back as well that are not looking too good. We need to space these out. So you do so, you can go to edit mode and go and press 2. Just enter edge select mode. Grab these edges, press G to edge slide them and move them around a bit. Kind of like this. It's also the same here. Press G to edge slide. Try to make the spacing between each one as even as you can. So you grab this set of edges here, press G to edge slide. Do the same here as well. One more time. And proportional editing here helps a bit. Grab some of these faces, press C to circle select, and just try to create this roundness as make this as round as you can around this central loop. So I'm going to grab these top vertices here and just try to make this loop as circular as you can. To help with that, press 2 on your keyboard, Shift and Alt, grab all these top faces or edges, and press this yellow button here, and just use the smooth tool, be smoothing it all out just a tad bits. Alright, final step for this video before we finalize this piece. Let's just make sure to match to our reference as best as we can. You can go into object mode and scale the whole piece up. So say for pieces like this, you can move it forward a bit, press S and Y, and scale up these faces. Also go to wireframe mode, the front view I mean, and do the same process again. Go to edit mode, make some adjustments here on the top. Go to side view, do the same process. And there we go. Also grab these edges and guts. Also looks like this is a bit wide. Press G, S, then X, and scale it a little bit skinnier on the X axis. So there we go. So now we can grab these edges here and also just match to the reference. Grab these back vertices, do the same process. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Next time, we'll be finishing off the shoe and working on this midsection here. After that, we'll be working on the buckle, so stay tuned for all of that. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful. We'll see you guys next time.